I am Hill Harper. I'm a Democratic candidate for United States Senate here in Michigan, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to talk to you about these important questions. Some of you may know me from books I may have written or roles I've played, but I'm also a cancer survivor. I'm a small business owner in Detroit, a proud 32-year union member, a graduate of the Marine Corps Officer Candidate School, the Kennedy School of Public Policy, and Harvard Law School. And most importantly, I'm a single father to an over-energized 8-year-old, my main man, my son, Pierce. And I'm running for the United States Senate to represent you and to fight for you in Washington, D.C. So let's get into these questions, okay? My activism and community work go back to my days at Brown University, where we would do sit-ins and marches and protests for divestment in South Africa, and also protesting apartheid and getting out on the streets. Quite honestly, the homelessness problem has been a problem for far, far too long, even the days that I was in college, where, I studied sociology and economics, and we did a lot of work around why there was so much housing fragility in Providence, Rhode Island. And then when I went to Harvard Law School, I joined the Legal Aid Bureau, and my mentor and the person that really guided and shaped many of my decisions, Professor Charles Ogletree, may he rest in peace, told me that I should join the Legal Aid Bureau. And what we did was we fought for people from the LGBTQIA community who are being discriminated against because of their HIV status and other things, not being able to find housing, etc. And we filed cases in support of them, and very proud of one case where literally stopped a man from being homeless because of arguing in front of a judge and getting an injunction. And then moving on from there, fast forwarding to my foundation, the Manifest Your Destiny Foundation, which I was able to create for young people that came out of my first book, Letters to a Young Brother, which is a motivational book for young boys that won the American Library Association Award for Best Book for Young Adults. And that foundation was able to do a lot of great work for young men and women in terms of empowerment. Very proud to have been the National Ambassador for the Innocence Project, and the work I was able to do around mass incarceration reduction in my book, Letters to an Incarcerated Brother, that speaks to that horrific plight and something we have to do something about. Also, in 2016 here in Michigan, joining the One Fair Wage movement, being the National Ambassador for One Fair Wage and arguing and advocating for a living wage. It's been since 2009, the federal minimum wage has not increased. It's still $7.25, which is it's ludicrous that is the case. And so as your senator, I will fight for increasing the federal minimum wage. Additionally, being the spokesperson and national ambassador for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Very honored to have served in that position because that is all about protection of voting rights and individual rights. And so put my Harvard Law degree to use, and I'm also a cancer survivor, and President Obama appointed me to the President's Cancer Panel. So being able to sit there for 6 years making recommendations to the White House around cancer policy during then Vice President Biden's cancer moonshot, and working with the National Institute of Health as well as the Vice President Biden moonshot was very important. I believe many of the advancements we're seeing today comes out of the work that we were able to get done in the Obama administration. When we think about communities, even the private sector, owning a small business in downtown Detroit that's a coffee shop, employing mostly young people, teaching them and having them learn a skilled trade is critical. So, we can go on and on and on and talking about these things, but, it all weaves into one thing. We have to support each other. We have to create opportunity for each other, and we can do it if we do it together. Lobbyists, special interests, and big corporate interests have crushed our democracy. In D.C., currying favors and backdoor deals with career politicians. That's why I'm running to be your fighter. See, Michiganders are facing very tough times. Costs are up, rent is too damn high, we're all feeling the pinch. And I bet you can't name a single thing that the current Senate has done to change your life at your dinner table. I'm running to make real measurable changes in the lives of everyday Michiganders. And I will work with local governments, local leaders, activists, and other congressional offices to understand where the resources truly need to go. And I'll fight to bring tax dollars back from D.C. to be spent here in our communities, to help individuals, to help nonprofits, to help institutions that are here in Michigan, to bring jobs here, We need to bring jobs. We need to bring opportunity back to Michigan. And we need to make Michigan a place where people decide to stay and keep their talents. And so I'm fighting for you, fighting for folks in YPSI. And I want to be your microphone in the U.S. Senate. When it comes to challenging systemic inequities, we have to look at where the root causes of these problems lie. And then that's where government has to lean in to create more equity, fairness, and opportunity. Okay, so let's look at public education. Proper funding of public education. Obviously, YPSI has recently gone through these massive issues around funding with public education. I'm glad to see what our legislator was able to do to get funding to YPSI. To the tune of $40 million, which I think is fantastic, but it still doesn't go far enough, the things we want to do. So we know that there's an inextricable link between early childhood education and then the other mass system that we need to strip back, which is our mass incarceration system. We need to do better. We're only 5% of the world's population, but we hold 25% of the world's incarcerated peoples, okay? And we know that we can decrease the mass incarceration population by doing better around education and providing job opportunities, et cetera. And we need to make that type of investment because you get paid back $8 for every $1 you invest in improving the quality of people's lives. So when we're talking about dealing with deep-seated systemic inequities, also the wealth gap. We know that 63% of black wealth goes to paying down student loan debt. So we have to make student loan debt relief and decrease the cost of higher education, including decreasing the cost and increasing the opportunity for skilled trade training. So these are the things that start to deal with these big systemic inequities. You know, YPSI is one of the places that's ground zero in our state for answering this question. And when it comes to thinking about equity, it starts with doing the work on the ground. It's the same work I've been doing in this race, connecting with Michiganders across the state to build a movement powered by the people that want to see real change in Washington. The path to racial equity starts with making our voices heard, holding our elected representatives to a higher standard of service, and engaging actively in our democracy and turning out to vote. Representation matters. Lived experience matters. And look, if you think things in our country are great, if you're not interested in changing the status quo, I may not be the candidate for you. But if you're interested in making real positive change, if you want a senator who is accountable to you and only you, if you want progress to be made on the issues that matter most, like healthcare, reproductive freedom, voting rights, and gun violence, then please vote for me, Hill Harper, in the August 6th Democratic primary. I'd be honored to fight for you as Michigan's first black United States senator. Voting rights are under siege, and the Senate needs a fighter to protect your right to vote, our right to vote. Michigan is leading the way in voting rights with 40 days of absentee voting, 9 days of early in-person voting, and same-day registration. And I want to ensure that the rest of America follows suit. I know the importance of voting rights, especially for our underrepresented communities that have been locked out. And I will fight to ensure that people who serve time in prison get their voting rights restored. I'll fight to protect Election Day workers and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights and Advancement Act. We can do this if we do it together. Join me. You can join the campaign, go to hillharper.com, or you can text 313-942-4455. That's right, 313-942-4455. Just text that number and join us. Collectively, we can and will win. This is about the people. It's about putting people over politics, but it only happens if we're working together. So text 313-942-4455 and go to hillharper.com. Thank you so much for your support. I look forward to working with everybody in YPSI. YPSI, can I share? Love you. God bless.